Michelle, it's not. I've been married for 17 and a half years and not one was bad. I think she and he married the wrong people. Michelle Obama. This dovetails perfectly with so many other comments she's made about how she is like, what about me? What about me? What did those 8 years in the White House do to my soul? And why isn't anyone asking? They shouldn't have to be told to ask about how I'm doing. She's still just as bitter as ever. There's such a great new spin of complaints here. Here's one from her most recent episode, which,
illustrious men.
And that's annoying.
Michelle Obama, the woman who turned kale into currency and side-eyes into a cultural reset. Yes, that Michelle, who didn't just walk out of the White House, she descended like royalty, smoothie in hand, preaching positivity while riding the jet stream of elite privilege. She branded broccoli like it was Balenciaga and sold us on going high while casually gliding past the rest of us in custom couture on her way to brunch with Queen Bey. Oh, the struggle of self-care when it's sponsored by billionaires. The nation's wellness queen told everyday Americans to eat clean, from the comfort of a private jet and a security detail. Because nothing says authentic health advice like wagging fingers from a penthouse. If you've ever wanted to be scolded into self-improvement by someone whose Whole Foods bill costs more than your rent, Michelle had you covered. A masterclass in glamorized grit, dressed in pastel cardigans and media applause. She didn't just sell inspiration. She trademarked it, gift-wrapped it in privilege, and called it empowerment. Welcome to the empire of aesthetic activism, where spinach is sacred, but only if it's photogenic.
We're back to our daily segment of Michelle Obama's terrible, terrible life. Boo effing who. She went on a podcast called Diary of a CEO. It's kind of rings a bell like a founder kind of situation. And once again, wants you to know how awful it is to be married with children.
There are just many natural reasons why marriage, infertility, trying to have kids makes things difficult. It's like, I try to tell couples, of course it's hard. Just listen to what I said, right? Like, it's probably, if you're having some issues in your marriage, it's not you, it's the process of marriage.
Michelle Obama, the only woman who could turn a school lunch into a political statement and a side-eye into a cultural movement. She didn't reform nutrition, she gentrified it with kale chips and a $200 blender. She made a sweet potato feel like a moral obligation and floated out of the White House like a wellness saint wrapped in designer affirmation quotes. Motivation never looked so manicured.
Michelle, it's not. I've been married for 17 and a half years and not one was bad. I think she and he married the wrong people.
I think you're 100% right. This is only her third episode. I can't think of anybody I would go to for advice less than Michelle Obama. She really doesn't know what she's talking about. First of all, she loves to tell us she hated Barack for a good decade.
Yes.
Okay, please teach me how to have a successful relationship with someone that you clearly respect and admire. Every time she's on the air, it's like, I'm dragging this ball of dead weight behind me. His name, Barack Obama. He's bringing me down. I'm trying to elevate myself with like these things on my head.
It looks like Mickey Mouse.
It's so
like
weird.
The two ears up there, these two big balls on the left and the right of her head.
Like, what kind of midlife crisis is she in the throes of right now?
Remember when Michelle blessed us with that, when they go low, we go high line? Yeah, high. Like 40,000 feet above the rest of us, sipping champagne on a private jet en route to some exclusive rooftop brunch where avocado toast costs more than your dinner. And let's be real, that childhood obesity crusade, it wasn't about the kids. It was about turning greasy cafeteria trays into Instagram-worthy spreads, kale chips, quinoa, and a side of condescending smirks, all served cold with a dash of elite guilt tripping.
It just doesn't feel organic at all.
It reads
same photo. They both posted the exact same photo. So clearly staffers put all of this together. Right.
With your fucking anger? With your complete inability to just get with the program and show up?
At the inauguration, so I have to walk in like a lonely soldier?
Exactly.
Her legacy, not hope. It's hope on demand, wrapped in a glossy subscription box. You can't claim relatability while draped in Balenciaga talking about poverty. Michelle flipped authenticity into a limited edition collectible. She's hawking inspiration like it's the latest beauty serum, complete with a free tote and a keynote that doubles as a sales pitch. This isn't about helping people, it's about building an empire.
Publicly, which leads me to Michelle Obama. Every day, she's dropped another negativity bomb on us, whether on her podcast or on someone else's. I mean, this audience knows she never says anything positive. It is all complaints. So she goes on another podcast. She's promoting her show, so she's making the rounds. The Diary of a CEO podcast, and actually found a way to bitch and moan about how hard it is to live in the White House.
Don't worry, though. While kids everywhere were starving under her no-snack dictatorship, Michelle was cashing in with a multi-million-dollar Netflix payday. Because when you crave binge-worthy drama, who better than Michelle Obama reading teleprompter-approved scripts about community gardens? Riveting stuff. Definitely Spielberg-level entertainment. Imagine a TED Talk bred with an HR training video, topped off with way too much chamomile tea. She called it inspirational. The rest of us called it the perfect soundtrack for falling asleep. With subtitles.
The word she says about Barack Obama is negative. I can't think of her sitting there just waxing poetic about him, complimenting, he's brilliant, he's a great dad, he was the greatest president, whatever a normal wife of Barack Obama would say. Every time she opines, it's something that reflects poorly on him, how he's insensitive, how he's not a talker, how he doesn't know how to relate to people, he doesn't keep the same schedule as she does, and now we're talking about you can have a bad decade in a marriage?
Oh, the post-White House hustle. Michelle's gone from reluctant public figure to relentless fame chaser overnight, clinging to the spotlight like it's her last lifeline. Forget subtlety, her brand screams, "I never signed up for this, but since I'm here, drop $50 on my journal and hoodie available now." 1 minute she's preaching quiet humility, the next she's staging a stadium spectacle complete with pyrotechnics and ticket prices that make Beyoncé's tours look like charity gigs. Modesty. That left the building ages ago. And that bestseller, a 400-page ego fest that's all flash, zero substance. It reads like it was penned by a team of influencer interns and PR drones on a sugar high. Expect chapters on how fame drains her soul, how exhausting it is to be adored, and how you can find your power as long as you're ready to open your wallet for her merch. It's the Billionaire's Guide to Self-Help, served with a side of elitism and broadcast through a ring light.
And we just accept that money, power, and privilege are perfectly justifiable forms of affirmative action, while kids growing up like I did are expected to compete when the ground is anything but level. You know what, Michelle? Same. And I'm white. I didn't have any of those advantages. I showed up the day of the SAT. I was like, it's the SAT today? Oh, shit, okay. My friend loaned me a pencil. I never took a review class. We didn't have the money for anything. Like, it's not just a black.
Let's all pretend Michelle Obama is still the down-to-earth working mom we bought in 2008. You know, the real woman juggling life. Except now that working mom jets off to Ibiza with a glam squad, a makeup artist on speed dial, and a security team that could take over a small nation. Michelle's brand is so polished, it's practically radioactive. If she ever got a paper cut, it'd be from her own business card. She rolls with more stylists than the Kardashians, but still has the nerve to lecture America on authenticity. And let's not forget her reign as fashion icon supreme. Nothing screams humble public service like turning every state dinner into a Vogue editorial shoot. The cure for childhood obesity? Layered under Valentino gowns and haute couture heels. She transformed the First Lady gig into a non-stop catwalk, throwing shade at anyone who dared question the relatability of her designer parade. But hey, it's all for the kids, right? Because nothing says healthy habits like a slideshow of 12 photos of Michelle in custom couture telling children to ditch dessert.
She's angry and unhappy. I've watched enough of her over the years, and then with this ridiculous podcast she's trying to launch to see she's a deeply unhappy person.
Michelle flips every awkward moment into a full-on sermon. Traffic, deep lesson, burnt toast, life's message, always ending with one truth. She's flawless and you better catch up. She doesn't speak, she performs like it's a docuseries called Queen of Composure. Her inspiration hits like humble brags wrapped in ego. You leave feeling like you just sat through a TED Talk disguised as a sales pitch. Buy my book, eat your veggies, bow down, even her side eyes, perfectly crafted for the highlight reel.
Obama, still trying to make her struggling podcast a thing, went on a 4.5-minute tear about herself and how hard it is to be Michelle Obama. We're going to go through quite a bit of it. Here's the first one about how difficult it is for Black women like Michelle to articulate their pain.
Remember when Michelle dropped that bizarre kids cooking cartoon on Netflix? Because what every toddler really craves is talking vegetables narrated by Michelle Obama herself. Only someone with that level of ego thinks the world's next big crisis is animated squash teaching how to zest a lemon. Meanwhile, somewhere deep in Sesame Street, Big Bird is probably mourning. But heaven forbid you question her. Doing that is like challenging the Pope on his hat. Untouchable. Michelle's been draped in celebrity sainthood so tight, she could bottle organic tap water and folks would swear it's a miracle cure. Her devotees act like she eradicated cancer with kale smoothies and inspirational catchphrases. Mention her name and half the room breaks down in tears, while the other half signs up for a $1,000 leadership boot camp.
Walked the face of the earth, then left to write her best-selling memoir for which she was paid millions, then signed a Netflix deal for which she was paid millions, is giving speeches for which she's getting paid almost $1 million per speech, has two daughters who went to Harvard and USC. The two of them together, I haven't even counted her husband's riches. They're definitely billionaires by now.
And don't forget Michelle's favorite hobby, throwing shade at America from her luxury penthouse. Every tour is just another episode of Michelle's disappointment diary. Apparently, she wakes up daily stunned that anyone dares to disagree with her. In her universe, if you don't worship her every word, you're instantly the enemy. There's no gray area, only standing ovations or social exile. Even her so-called charity work sounds like a corporate brainstorm session fueled by Cal lattes and marketing pitch decks.
Is it, Michelle? It's not. I've been married for 17 and a half years, and not one was bad. I think she and he married the wrong people.
Every noble cause mysteriously syncs up with a product drop. Like
every worthy cause somehow doubles as a product launch. Social justice? Sure. Just make sure your selfie features her signature leather bookmark front and center. Championing girls? Perfect. Now grab the exclusive Michelle-approved hoodie and sip your moral superiority from a stainless steel tumbler that screams, "I'm woke and wealthy." Her philanthropy? Less about impact, more about building a luxe lifestyle brand with a conscience. This isn't charity, it's a motivational merch empire disguised as activism. Try donating, and suddenly you're signed up for her monthly emails and a hand-picked playlist of inspirational bangers. The media has practically anointed Michelle as the queen of all virtues, swathed in designer power suits. She blinks, and headlines appear glorifying her unshakable poise. A glance from her sets Twitter on fire with worship for her ironclad resilience. She snaps a smoothie selfie, and Vogue launches a full-blown tribute issue. She could scorch a toddler with hot coffee, and her fans would hail it as a revolutionary act against systemic injustice. Remember when she started out scolding people for being too ambitious? Now she's flipped the script, turning relentless ambition into a multi-million-dollar lifestyle empire. Michelle's moved beyond public service. She's a meticulously manufactured icon. Every step is a calculated performance, every word polished to perfection. Even her off-the-cuff moments feel like a boardroom-approved TED Talk designed to sell you overpriced candles and a dose of performative remorse.
Every word she says about Barack Obama is negative. I can't think of her sitting there just waxing poetic about him, complimenting, he's brilliant, he's a great dad, he was the greatest president, whatever a normal wife of Barack Obama would say. Every time she opines, it's something that reflects poorly on him, how he's insensitive, how he's not a talker, how he doesn't know how to relate to people, he doesn't keep the same schedule as she does, and now we're talking about you can have a bad decade.
Let's dive into how Michelle managed to crank up the insufferability to a whole new level after leaving the White House. She bailed on politics, but dragged every ounce of political grandstanding along for the ride. One moment she's cutting a rug with Ellen, the next she's sobbing about a divided nation while cashing paychecks that outclass the GDP of tiny countries. She's desperately trying to play both sides, above the chaos yet smack dab in its center, like a walking paradox wrapped in Spanx and pearls. And please, don't buy the fairy tale that she's still Michelle from the South Side. The Michelle who summers on yachts with George Clooney and guest edits glossy magazines in $3,000 boots isn't your neighborhood girl. The scent of essential oils and hollow praise replaces any trace of the everyday woman. Her real legacy? mastering self-congratulation and spinning it into a sprawling empire. With the right PR squad and a handful of stage stories, she's turned public service into private profit. Less a beacon of hope, more a case study in how to cash in on sanctimony. The kicker? She insists she hates the spotlight, all while signing deals for documentaries and licensing merchandise. Michelle Obama, queen of the humble brag, preaches helping others right before dropping a fragrance named Resilience. She talks about the little things while snapping selfies with celebrities who wouldn't recognize a little thing if it ran them over in a Prius. Her relatable moments are choreographed with the precision of a military drill or a Beyoncé album rollout. Despite all the smoke and mirrors, she demands to be treated like she's the voice of the oppressed on a city bus. Her version of authenticity? The Hollywood kind, engineered by stylists, filtered through consultants, polished till it gleams like a trophy. She's not here to shake up the system, she's here to monetize it. If Michelle launched bottled artisanal air, people would camp out with mason jars. She's built a cult so intense, her mere glance sparks political headlines. Who needs actual leadership when you have vibes? At the end of the day, Michelle's true genius isn't activism or leadership or health campaigns. It's branding. She took one public role and forged it into a lifestyle cult, worshiping curated perfection, safe inspiration, and moral posturing wrapped in a limited edition hoodie. She's no longer a person, she's a product, trademarked, targeted, and always perfectly camera ready.